As never before in the long history of Earth and its people, wars and crimes, as well as manifold brutalities prevail, which constantly increase in step with the overpopulation. The old venerable relationships between planet and man have changed drastically for the worse, especially since the middle of the 19th century, and the trend is continuing noticeably. Not only has mankind sunk into an abyss of boundless depravity, but it has also brought this decay to the planet and the entire animal world and nature as a whole. All governments and those responsible and the majority of the population have become the keepers of evil. While they talk of peace and better quality of life as well as of better interpersonal relationships, aid for the hungry, environmental protection and many other good things, the governments and responsible people secretly rearm and prepare deadly weapons in order to destroy entire nations. But the majority of the population is also busy increasing the decay, and as a consequence, hate, discontent, wastefulness, vices, addictions, murder and manslaughter, etc. will be committed. All the new inventions are used ultimately to destroy as well as annihilating plants and animals. The environmental pollution and destruction increase constantly, and the degeneration of man produces ever more deadly excesses. Therefore, in reality, so-called progress is nothing else but a degeneration leading nowhere. One cannot even speak about a retrogression, because never before has Earth humanity found itself on such a steep decline as in the present time. If Earth humanity and its governments as well as other responsible people, as i.e. scientists, do not wake up soon, then it will come to a worldwide catastrophe, which cannot prevent a general hostility from man to man. All evils will increase to such an extent that only brutal force can put a stop to it. Greed for money and possessions, general lack of decency and respect, sick ambition and hunger for power, as well as robbery and murder and many other excesses will become the order of the day. And if people do not become aware of it very soon, it will rapidly go downhill, until finally everything sinks into the abyss. It seems, but perhaps it is also the reality, that mankind must first fall into the deepest abyss of its history before it wakes up and realizes that it is stuck in a dead end, where lurks the complete self-destruction, which may end in an atomic war or worse, despite all hypocritical disarmament efforts. Maybe there will be enough survivors who can make a new beginning from the wreckage and can realize which deadly mistakes have been made in order not to repeat these again. Perhaps the survivors will recognize that selfishness, vice, greed, arrogance, excessive ambition, and greed for possessions etc. cannot form a stable basis for a healthy human society. But so far this recognition does not penetrate into the consciousness of most people, because selfishness is still strongly prevalent. Man is still blinded by progress, technology, money and exterior prosperity, but at the same time impoverishes more and more in his consciousness, in his psyche and feelings. Interpersonal relations become a farce because the more people that crowd the planet, the more the lonely and careworn the individual becomes, because the contacts between people will become more sparse and are only directed toward material gain and profit. Many thousands of firms, large and small businesses, go bankrupt every year in every country, and all because young, dynamic powers take on the helm, wanting to rise quickly, not paying heed to advice from others. In their megalomania and greed for profit they expand their businesses and get into debt, which they can never repay. They act just like the governments, that get into debt to the tune of hundreds of millions of francs, marks or dollars, because they miscalculate in their conceit, and often don't even know how much a million or billion actually is. They are all power and profit-hungry people, by whom all older workers were and will be pushed from their jobs and positions, even though their healthy caution had properly brought the businesses to bloom. These young, ambitious, power and profit-hungry workers no longer have this caution, and consequently they impetuously storm ahead, but only end up destroying everything. They neither heard of pragmatism nor that only exactly calculable risks should be taken. Governing people as well as entrepreneurs are no longer in control of their businesses because they are the wrong people in the wrong positions. Therefore it is not surprising that all of mankind as well as the planet and all of its other life forms etc. are sliding more and irresistibly into the deepest abyss and rushing towards total destruction. As a matter of fact, the people on Earth are up to the eyeballs in muck and don't recognize or understand the truth anymore. Actually, they do not want to see or know the truth, because they still think of themselves as the absolute crown of creation, who can do as they please and never fail. In fact, it is not all people who are wandering on the path to destruction, because there are also those who recognize the scary situation and are trying with all means possible to wake up the majority of mankind who think and act wrong. Unfortunately, these people only belong to a minority, who go unheard and are even attacked because most people do not want to be told the truth, nor are they willing to give it a thought. In spite of all this, the minority must continue the fight for enlightenment, even though it is almost hopeless. Only he who fights for life can win, even when it seems useless. In the end, and in spite of all the defeats, the winners will be those who held onto the truth tenaciously and fought for it, even though this victory will only be signified by a good conscience and an inner satisfaction that they have fulfilled their duty with respect to life, the world, mankind, and all other life forms on Earth in accordance with the laws and directives of creation. Billy, an article from Stim der Wassermannsite NR.107. Translated by Hugo and Renata S., proofread by Helga Friedrich. S., proofread by